Hello, Isabel. Hi, Sharon. So we have 10 participants. We're going to give this a few moments. I encourage you to open up your chat function at the middle of your page at the bottom. Hi, Sharon. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Isabel. Yes, thank you. Does the sound, it sounds good? Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, we'll give this a couple minutes. Good, very good, very good. We have 4 folks on. Welcome, Stacy. Stacy's in Japan and it's 4 a.m. there. So I hope you slept okay. We're giving this a few more moments. We had quite a full moon last night in Sagittarius, and I certainly felt that strongly. Now in the soul chart, welcome Laura. In the soul chart, this occurred in Scorpio, and so very transformative energy through this weekend as well, and I'm certainly feeling that. We'll be keeping the audio and the video off. And once a few more people have joined, I'll read out the order of our session. So I encourage you to take note of the time stamp so that when you get the playback link, which I will send out by Wednesday at the latest, you'll have a sense of where to fast forward to. And we do have 10 scheduled for today. 5 are here so far. How's the weather your way, everyone? Let me know where you're coming from if you choose to in the chat. Kentucky, okay, hot. I'm hearing that. I know in the Northeast where I have family, they've had mid to upper 80s, which is quite unusual this time of year. We have some storms up in the DC, Maryland area, and we've been overcast here in Virginia Beach for the past week, but it's been really temperate, around 70, which I absolutely love because it's not unusual for this time of year for us to be climbing into the mid and upper 80s periodically. And we will typically reach that in the July and August time period. We all kind of huddle in our AC, and then as September and October come around, things start to grow more temperate again. Michigan and finally cooler, mid 80s. How high were you if it's cooler now, Laura? How high did you get? That's very unusual for Michigan. Yeah, there's a heat wave all along the upper part of the mid to northeastern states. Okay, so we have 5. So I'm going to go ahead. This will run 92, no humidity, so it was bearable. That makes a big difference, the humidity level for sure. That's really warm for you guys. That's very warm. I'm going to read out the order here, and I take that in the order of people who signed up. And so number 1 is Susie, then Tracy is number 2, Stacy is number 3, Kamara is number 4, Isabel number 5, Laura number 6, Sharon number 7, Sarah number 8, Camilla or Mila is number 9, And then Beth is number 10. She signed up then, forgot she had a graduation, her nephew's graduation to attend today. So I told her I'd put her last if she can jump in. So is Susie here? Do we have Susie here? Okay, well, all right then. And I'm using a timer of 10 minutes per person. And, you know, I'm going to invite you and bring your mics up during your session to ask questions. So you can ask anything about clarity and comments or, you know, anything that comes to mind to you, okay? So that's our format. Typically, I'm going to go ahead and start. Let me stop for a moment. And I just want to remind you, Jupiter is the higher mind. Jupiter is about our higher consciousness. The Mercury is the lower mind, the left brain. It's the mechanistic aspect that, of course, we need to function here on this planet. Whereas Jupiter expands our perception. It's more of a dimensional, where you get insights that go beyond perhaps the five senses, instincts. And Jupiter is transiting through very grounded Taurus until May of next year. So it's grounded inspiration. It's staying in your body, bringing consciousness to work with in this realm so that it's not a separate just when I meditate. It's where you're embodying that. That's what I call ascension, is the integration of contrast and also embodying knowledge in your daily living so that that translates as wisdom. We also have Saturn transiting through Pisces, which is another very grounded planet. Saturn does not do all that well in Pisces, but I see everything as divinely timed, and Saturn in Pisces is kind of sharing that same message, grounding our spirituality, grounding our intuition, grounding our creative energy. It's very much a grounding time, grounding this into the body. Now, in the soul chart or in the constellation, Jupiter is transiting through Aries. So Aries is that first house principle of the sense of self and identity and authenticity. And then that Aries energy informs Taurus as to how to use your skills. And it's about your self-esteem and creating resources for yourself and working with talents and abilities, working with your value system. And of course, the node is still transiting through Taurus until July, when it will back up into Aries for the next 18 months. But in the soul chart, the node has been in Aries, which is the call to, and Aries is very spiritual too. It's about the divine light of spirit and fusion and magic and integration. This is a time of moving through resistance to the patterns of the mind, the repetitious thinking, the circular thinking, referencing the past, and learning to stay in present moment, Taurus, step by step, Taurus, gratitude, Taurus. Taurus is very physical. So it's what we eat. How are we taking care of ourselves? It's food and nutrition and Mother Gaia and the land and earth. And yes, weather as well, weather patterns, which we know have been changing. Some of that has been by design. There is interference with the weather patterns. But if you speak with a geologist, they will say it is very natural that this planet, we go through weather changes, cyclical change. So as we're seeing with so many topics on planet, there are political narratives attached to virtually everything these days. And can we rise above and beyond some of these messaging systems? And in all honesty, propaganda, I have never seen so much propaganda being fed out there to the masses of people. When you're connecting with the Jupiter energy of higher consciousness, You are tuning into your own truth, your own knowing, your own sense of what is right for you, of sovereignty, sovereign mind, sovereign heart, all of that, which is really what this time is asking for, okay? We are in quite a time here that has been talked about, but now that we're in it, knowing about it and living through it emotionally is very different, isn't it? But it's really pushing us to develop and utilize skills and walk the path, not just talk it, walk that path. Knowledge is just knowledge. When knowledge is integrated, it becomes wisdom. And so Jupiter is part of this process. Now, even as we are gathering today, Jupiter is conjunct the North Node at 3 degrees of Taurus, which is the whispers, insights, true calling, true pathways. The North Node is about collective growth, not what is known and comfortable, what we're being pulled or entrained towards in order to evolve here on planet Earth. We are soul embodied humans having a human experience on this wild and raucous and very emotional planet. And then we leave and we have many, many, many more experiences, right? Because the soul's trajectory is infinite and magical and amazing. And on June 19th, we're heading into the Jupiter sextile Saturn, and that's from 7 degrees of Taurus to Pisces. So very grounded energy. Jupiter is, resources, security, values. Saturn in Pisces is working with one's intuition, making manifest one's creativity, inspiration, medical approaches, intuitiveness. These two aspects together, which perfect on the 19th, are brilliant for business decisions and practical decisions. This will happen again February 6, 2024, from 7 degrees of Taurus until Pisces. And on the 20th of 2024, April 20th, Jupiter conjuncts Uranus, and that's at 21 degrees of Taurus. So this is going to be very interesting to see the breakthroughs and the consciousness. And also, of course, Uranus is about technology. Yes, AI, it is rules this Aquarian theme of everyone becoming very aware of what's going on planet 2, the collective, and the innovational power of technology, but also, like everything, we have contrast, those who seek to control others through technology. So it's all about the consciousness of this. And on the May 23rd, 2024, then we see Jupiter sextiling Neptune. So we're working with a higher consciousness and collective love energy and the spiritual attunement. And that's 29 degrees Taurus to Pisces. And then on the 24th of May next year, Jupiter heads into Gemini for the next year. So here we go. So I'm starting with Susie. And Susie, are you here? Are you online? Let me check.
Yes. Hi.
Yes. Good, Susie. So you can keep your mic open. Let me jump in. And
okay.
As I shared, I'm working with this 10-minute increments
Okay.
per person. So I will stop, rest assured, and then you can ask questions, comments, etc. Okay?
Great.
Welcome. Thanks for being here, everybody. Okay, Susie, so Jupiter has just moved into your 11th house, where he will be transiting until June of 2024. Now, Jupiter in the 11th house is getting on your path. It's more happiness themes, what makes you happy. It's expansion through networks, contacts, influential others, people who might help you out in some way. It is a beautiful time for making new friends, connecting with people who are on this path of growth and expansion in some way, whether this is a group you gather with, or you just happen to meet people that are really uplifting. Jupiter is about faith and knowledge as well. So you may find that your friends and your groups is the system in which you grow and expand. Now, on top of this, Jupiter is conjunct your sun through November, and then again in February through April of 2024. So this is very, very positive. Jupiter conjunct the sun happens once every 12 years. And so this is meant to expand your sense of identity. It is meant to bring more faith. And when you have more faith, your frequency raises and you tend to attract more opportunity and like matching frequencies. So very, very positive. But what's also occurring is Neptune transiting through your 10th house, which may be obfuscating or confusing your work for the past several years, or where you're headed, or maybe bosses or parent situations. Neptune is opposing Jupiter, and this started back in March of 2023 and will continue through January of 2024. So it can be a little bit of a confusing influence regarding family and where you live and how you live, and housing situations or how to perceive things. But this can also be bringing a much more intuitive and expanded viewpoint around family situations, which have not always been easy. Family's been an area of big, transformative, unpredictable themes in your life. But you've come here to move away from any trauma or pain from the family, because that North Node of yours is up there in that 10th house of leaving the past in the past, healing the past, being of service. You're here to be your role on planet, and to be of service to humanity, the community, in whatever way makes sense for you in some fashion. Now it's a little tricky for you because you're also dealing with a progressed Sun square Chiron. The start heated up in 2022, will continue through, you're going to be clear of it in October of this year, from your 12th house to your 10th house, which may be bringing up some of these wounding, vulnerable patterns tied to power, authority figures, what's my purpose, status in life, etc. It's expanding that for your awareness to integrate, to heal. Integration is the piece here. Now, what's also occurring is Jupiter's transiting that 11th, Saturn's concurrently transiting through your 9th house. Jupiter's conjunct that North Node transit in your 11th house right now. So listen to things that you may be thinking of, especially since Wednesday through about Tuesday. It's a little bit of a call to what's my future here? What's my future here? The node will be heading into your 10th house this summer, but it's finishing out its transit of your 11th house of where do I want to go? Who do I want to hang out with? Who's my tribe? Who's my tribe? Jupiter will be sextiling Saturn from your 11th to your 9th house on the 19th of this month. And then again in February of 2024. So this is very stable energy as far as if you want to travel or market or develop a website or teach or take a class, media, publishing, big picture, people at a distance, foreign countries, things that make you happy. Jupiter, Taurus, right? Your group, your path, your friends. So very stable sextile here, very, very positive. Now, what's interesting is on July 22nd, Venus is retrograding in your 3rd house, and that's at 28 degrees of Leo. And what's happening is Venus is going to be squaring Jupiter up there in your 11th house on June 11th, August 22nd, and then when she's direct on September 17th. Venus squared Jupiter can be really fun. It can be really indulgent. You may also want to keep track of money and decisions you make and resources. With squares to Jupiter, it's easy to extend ourselves in the moment. And then also, Mercury is retrograding on August 9th, and Mercury is going to be trining Jupiter 3 times. Mercury retrogrades right on your IC, exactly conjunct it, opposing your midheaven. And it retrogrades back into your third house. And it's going to be trining Jupiter August 9th from your third to your 10th. Yeah, 11th rather, 3rd to 11th. It's going to, when retrograde, trine Jupiter again on September 14th, 15 degrees Virgo to Taurus, September 25th, when Mercury is direct, and then Jupiter's retrograde. You want to look towards that time frame, the second half of September, for clarity, especially around decisions on teaching or speaking or your local community or siblings or relative situations. So I find it very interesting that Venus and Mercury, Venus is our money and our interpersonal relationships, and Mercury is our mind and our siblings and relatives, friends. Mercury's people in our life, and they're both going to be contacting Jupiter 3 times in the duration before and during and after the retrograde. So there's a lot of information there. And you have Sagittarius on your 6th house cusp. I'm working the tropical chart today, everybody, to keep it simpler. And so that 6th house is where you always want to grow and expand and develop. And you got Mars conjunct your moon there. You can have a quick temper, can't you?
Yeah.
And assertive, and how you handle your day-to-day schedule. And then Jupiter is down there at late degrees of Virgo with conjunct Pluto. You need to be very careful about overanalyzing, heavy critiquing, but the family carries that imprint. But Jupiter, you're probably quite the student too. You study things, you like to learn things, you like to get the bottom of things. The 4th house is who we are when nobody's looking, and what we do when we're roaming around by ourselves at the end of the day and during our free time. So this ties into how you approach your life on a very basic level. So let me stop now and invite you, and that's a lot of information. I'm a fast talker, but come on, man.
Okay, questions? In terms of my marketing, yeah. I'm focusing on marketing. I just moved to a small town. I've been here a year. Okay. And I just don't know how weird to go with the marketing, because I do astrology as well.
Okay.
And I'm a Reiki master. I'm working on tarot cards and all of that.
I'm going to jump right in here, okay? I think when we get to the second half of this month, Mercury has been retrograding and spending forever in Taurus, your 11th house. But I think this Jupiter sextile Saturn is really going to be helpful for you. Okay. And as we get into the second half, and we've got the new moon in Gemini, this Mercury transit through Taurus has felt like forever to me, like for years Mercury's been, but it finally leaves Taurus the 11th of June, and then it heads right into Gemini, and you've got your Mercury return, because you've got Mercury right there, okay? So I would wait for that inspiration to land and then act upon it.
Okay.
Yeah, because, as you're heading into mid-June, I'm just seeing all of these indicators that, and maybe it's just a confidence thing. Maybe you do know, but you're a little insecure about it even, right? And yeah, I think you do know, but you're just feeling insecure. And then you'll get to the second half of June, and it's like, just do it, right? Yeah. I'm seeing this a lot where people are like, I'm not ready. Or it's like, when will you ever be ready, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes you've just got to do it and feel the fear. That's what bravery is.
Okay.
I'm not ready. Well, you'll never be ready with that kind of, and with your Virgonian mind, this perfectionistic, you can kind of overdo that.
Yeah.
But we say, just do it. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect out of the chute. because you're going to learn and you're going to get feedback and you're going to make adjustments accordingly.
And will there be more of a sense, just sorry, one last question. Will there be more of a sense of openness toward, because I'm getting more of a practical kind of weighted out energy here where I live. Would it be best to market to people coming from out of town for that? Would they be into that? Would you sense?
Well, I don't know what your business model is. Is this in person or?
Yeah, I was thinking of doing like a healing,
Yeah, because Venus is heading into that third house in 5 days.
Oh, okay.
And Venus is she's going to retrograde in that third house. I would get things buttoned up the first week of July.
Okay.
It's a fine time. I really think things are going to start popping for you, and landing as this month unfolds.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
you. I know.
Thank you so much.
And best wishes.
Okay. You too. Thank you.
I have Miss Tracy. Is Tracy here? Tracy, are you here?
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Tracy. Where are you? I can't see you. There you are. Oh, very nice lotus. Okay. So let me start recording, and I don't know if you were here, but then I'm going to stop and open this up for questions and discussion, okay?
Okay.
Okay, good. So Miss Tracy, in April, Jupiter moved into your third house where he'll be transiting until April 2024. This is really helpful for your mind. Jupiter through that third house ruled by Mercury, you tend to feel more optimistic, more positive. It can affect your local environment in a positive way, in the way of neighbors and community and sibling relationships, friends, neighbor relationships. So this is very good for the mind as well. And now through November, Jupiter is conjunct your progressed Mars in that third house. Progressed Mars is how we're evolving. Our birth chart is static. Progressions, which I work with heavily, shows us how we are handling the challenges and the shifts in our natal birth chart. But Jupiter conjunct progressed Mars can be good if you need more confidence or more faith. This can be positive for like male siblings, male relatives, men in general. It's a great time to take a class. It's a great time to teach a class. Self-expression is third house as well. You may, writing, speaking, all of those are very positively favored. And how's your Mars natally? Yeah, you're okay. Well, you've got a Mars conjunct Chiron, which can have you double, kind of questioning your value and your identity and your worth. So this Jupiter conjunct progressed Mars should help even that out more. Even that out, help heal any wounds from the family background. So that's in play now through November and again in April of next year. At the same time, your progressed ascendant has just moved in to sextile Jupiter. Your progressed ascendant is at 9 degrees of Aries in that second house, and it is sextiling Jupiter in your first house. Okay. So again, we're seeing very positive. Progressions aren't always a smash and grab. It can have a building effect where you're just noticing that you're feeling better. You're feeling more confident. You may want to travel more. Ascendant sextile Jupiter, contacting Jupiter, you want more growth in your life. You want more experience and more faith. And with faith often comes more opportunity. This is going to be traveling with you through June 2024. So you've got some very positive Jupiter aspects here. Now, Jupiter's transiting through that third house. It's sextiling Saturn in that second house cusp mid-month, okay? So this can be very good for decisions tied to communication patterns, housing, family situations, stability, money, resources. Jupiter is also, as we speak, conjunct that North Node, which is in your third house for the next year or so, because it crosses over that border. I work with uneven house systems because I like it. Somebody said, why do you do that? I'm like, because I like to, and that works for me. So again, this is very positive. Now, Venus is heading into, already in your seventh house now, until, my goodness, until October. So Venus through the seventh house is going to be helpful for all interactions with others. She's going to retrograde on the 22nd of July, 28 degrees of Leo, and she's going to be squaring Jupiter down there in Taurus. So, Jupiter's heading off into your fourth house now. And so you want to be aware of overextending relationships, money, security. At the same time, this can be a time where you take a chance with partnerships, with living situations, with living conditions. And then Mercury in mid-August is going to be retrograding in your eighth house, 22 degrees of Virgo. Mercury is going to be trining Jupiter in that fourth house. He's going to be trining Jupiter on August 9th, again on September 4th, and then when he's direct on September 25th. So what I would say going forward is be very aware of investing in things, purchases, until Mercury is complete. You'll get a sense of that, a taste of that on August 9th. You can maybe act on it then. If not, certainly as you get into the second half of September, when Mercury makes its final trine to Jupiter, 8th to 4th house now, this can be home improvements, this can be finances, this can be feeling more supported, this can be positive developments with your husband or your business partner. So I find it interesting, these two retrogrades are both contacting Jupiter. Venus squares Jupiter on June 11th, retrograde August 22nd, when she's direct on September 17th. She's going to stay direct September 3rd at 12 degrees of Leo in that seventh house. So you also want to look at maybe, when Venus is retrograding, you don't want to meet new people in your seventh house. You don't want to make long-term financial decisions and, make big plans. And squaring Jupiter is where we can overinflate or overestimate or be a little bit overconfident sometimes. So you want to look towards the 17th in her final square with Jupiter, 15 degrees Leo to Taurus. And then when Mercury makes his final trine to Jupiter on the 25th, there you go. There you go. You're heading into a fine time for investments, resource management, financial decisions, bank loans, debt, etc. Now, yeah. And you have Jupiter first house. So there's, you have Jupiter conjunct your Venus. So there's a quality of more and more and more about you sometimes. I find with people, Jupiter first house, now I want to do this, and now I want to do that. It's always more. So there's a reminder to stay present moment. That's what Jupiter Taurus is teaching us. Stay in our body, moment to moment, attitude of gratitude, instead of just, and I'm not saying that you are a consumer, but we can get into that consuming energy of the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I have a few clients with Jupiter first house, and they're always like, they achieve something and then they're on to the next thing. It's like, let's take a moment and acknowledge what you've just achieved. And why don't you swim around in that and bathe in that and enjoy that a bit, right?
Right.
So come on in with any questions.
So I do have a question. So much of what you have said is very much resonating with me around my dad. I'm currently going back and forth in terms of an issue with my dad. He suffers from dementia, and I've been taking care of him at home. But I'm really starting to realize that I don't know that I am still capable of doing that.
That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. And I've been a caregiver, and unless you've been a caregiver, you have no idea how much it requires and
Yeah.
how draining it can be, especially as dementia is increasing. Yeah, okay, no wonder you've got Jupiter in that fourth house. So you need help.
Yeah.
Well, you do.
That's what I've strongly been feeling, and I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like for both
How
him
long have
and
you been caring for him?
I have been caring for him full time for myself and working full time for the past 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, his dementia is very much progressing.
Now, depending on if he has resources, there's comfort care, there's all kinds of resources that have risen up. If he doesn't, if resources are tight, your local churches, there are organizations with volunteers who can help and maybe at least give you a day off or a few hours off. With Jupiter in that fourth house, it's about improving the family situation, right? Improving the family situation. And that's a long time. And, you know, that's a long time. You're in a fine time to reach out for help. And, you know, Taurus is conjunct that North Node in that third house right now, too. So this bodes well for local community resources. You know, Jupiter, Taurus resources, right? I think you have to do that. I think you're coming to a crucible here.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
You'll
Jean.
be
I
able
really
to, and you'll be able to. And if you're feeling, and especially with this Jupiter sextile Saturn that's coming in from that fourth to that second house, right there, that's mid-month. That's the money, the resources will be workable. Good decisions can be made here. And, you know, Mercury finally leaves Taurus, which is maybe left you feeling stuck, and it heads into Gemini, still in your fourth house. But that's when we're ready to, you know, make deals and talk to people and make things happen, right? And Mercury heads into Gemini June 11th. So I feel by the end of this month, you're going to have some resource, maybe a couple Gemini, multiple resources in place. Do it. You need it.
awesome. Thank you
That
so
is
much,
tough.
Jean.
That is tough, and bless you for what you've been doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I have Miss Stacy now. Hi, Stacy. All right,
Hi,
you got
Kate.
your mic off? I mean, on.
Yeah,
Nice
can you
to
hear
see you. Yes, I can.
Oh, great.
Are you doing okay?
I am. I am. There was a typhoon that came by through the weekend, so a lot of weather patterns and flooding and I'm
Stacy's in
fine.
Japan.
Yeah.
Stacy's in Japan. Okay. Was it a direct hit where you live?
It was yeah, it hit a great. I had got the tail end of it, and I was in the mountains, and I was able to get down, and just some train delays, and
Is that
it
the
was a
first
little scary.
typhoon you've experienced?
No,
Okay.
maybe, yeah. They 15 come in about every year, and
Yeah.
then different parts of Japan. So yeah.
Yeah, because I live on that coast, so I've been through multiple hurricanes in this.
Hurricane.
Right. It's just, it changes the rotation, right?
Yes.
Depending on the hemisphere, and then it's a typhoon. So you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just a little sleepy.
Yeah, well, then it's jarring. I mean, the barometric pressure, there's a lot of environmental things that happen that bear down on us as well during those kinds of storms. So I'm glad you're okay.
Thanks.
Now through May of next year, you have Jupiter in that fourth house of yours, and you're coming into your Jupiter return because that's where your natal Jupiter is. So fourth house is family, security, where you live, how you live, spiritual growth. You have Jupiter in that fourth house trining Uranus, Pluto in that eighth house through October. So the fact that, you know, and the fourth house can also be weather patterns too in your country and your environment. That's very fourth house as well. You're kind of protected and everything's okay. And Jupiter trine that eighth house, those eighth house big dog players is seeking to develop and enhance your security, working with your resources, your husband's resources, your school's resources. This is very flowing. This is with you through October, then again, January through March of next year. And by the way, Mercury's conjunct Jupiter today in your chart. So I find that fun. Jupiter is sextiling Saturn, I mean, in Pisces, from your fourth house to your second house mid-month in sextile. So it can be a very grounded, practical time for making decisions with maybe family matters or housing matters or financial matters. Mercury's finally going to be leaving that fourth house where it's been transiting since early April and head into your fifth house. Yay, June 11th, where things are going to feel lighter and less heavy and consequential. And so this should do you a world of good as far as your mind and more fluid, flexible kinds of thinking. You've got, you know, really lovely transits working for you. This Venus retrograde occurs in your eighth house on July 22nd. She retrogrades at 28 degrees of Leo. And she's going to be squaring Jupiter down there in that fourth house. So I would say you really don't want to look at any new financial deals or developments once you get past the first week of July, because she's really slowing down that. Although she can magnify opportunities, actually, I find, because she's going to be sitting there right at 27, 28 degrees through much of July. But certainly as you get closer to the 22nd and until September 3rd, not a good time for new financial speculations, financial contracts, long-term financial deals, unless something comes back into you. Venus rules finances. Venus rules relationships. So there may be developments with your husband, or what he thought was a sure thing may change and then change again. But once he gets into the second half of September, everything should be clear and moving by then, because Mercury is retrograding mid-August at 22 degrees of Virgo in that eighth house as well, until until mid-September, when Mercury stations direct at 8 degrees, and Mercury exactly conjuncts Mars mid-September when Mercury stations. So this has a strong feeling of male energy, husband energy, financial energy, okay? And Mercury is going to be, when Mercury makes his final trine on September 5th, when he's direct, Jupiter's retrograde now. Jupiter goes retrograde. When does Jupiter go retrograde? On September 4th at 15 degrees. But the lower mind of facts and figures comes back in and can make sense now of this Jupiter transit through that fourth house of home, family, decisions, security. So if hubby runs into a glitch, or both of you run into a glitch, if things aren't buttoned down by, say, the second week of July, then you're going to wait till the second half of September. Okay. Is there anything on the horizon here that you guys are thinking about or talking about?
We've been working on our finances and looking for our third act. But I'm wondering if it has to do more with my sister staying with my mother still. And we'll have,
okay.
Yeah, she needs some support, and the finances aren't good with my sister.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're finally going to feel like you're getting clear of the sister Mercury fourth house that you've been very focused on since early April. When Mercury leaves and heads into your fifth house, June 11th, because it feels like this has been a big, big focus for you, hasn't it?
It is, yeah, it has been.
Yes. Please know that will lighten up a bit as it goes forth, and you may find resolutions just kind of pop into place. I feel the Jupiter Saturn sextile will be helpful mid-month as well for making decisions. But this Mercury retrograde may bring her back into the situation again as far as finances and mental health issues. And that's coming in strongly. I would say the end of July until mid-October. You may find that she comes back in, and there may be mental health issues, there may be financial issues attached to that. But you're fine. You're fine. And also to gauge what's yours and what isn't. What's your responsibility? And having boundaries around that too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Jupiter in your natal fourth house squares Saturn in that second house. So it's always felt like an inordinate amount of responsibility tied to family. Now Jupiter is sextiling Saturn in that second house. So you may find you want to think about some resolution here, whether this is, some resources through the environment, their environment, etc., that can be brought into play to either oversee, maybe this is a health or a help person who's coming in also to monitor things, right? Okay. But I'm just feeling there can be more solutions. And you already have this in your mind. I think you'll be more confident with solutions as you get into the second half of June. I would say get things buttoned up by mid-July. Things may need to be revisited, and then the second half of September with that final Mercury trine Jupiter on September 25th. And that's from 14 degrees Virgo to Taurus, from the 8th house to that 4th house. But I also feel like there's something here with your husband at the Mercury station direct on the whenever Mercury station's direct, mid-September, okay?
Okay.
There's like something that gains in clarity with him, his resources and his situation, that's tied to you as well.
Yeah, those are possibilities. And he just started a new job this week.
Did he?
So, yeah,
Okay.
so that makes sense. The third month into the job, there may be some.
Well, with these retrogrades in that 8th house, you want to be real fluid with resources and the big picture, because the big picture may change and then change again. And then when you get to the second half of September, you're going to have a much clearer idea of the long term of things. Okay. And as I've said before, Jupiter in Taurus, take things day by day. Jupiter Taurus wants us to ground, stay in our body, be present in the now, because it's very easy for us to project and be anxious about what can happen in the future. And I know you're dealing with some very unpredictable elements here. Okay, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
We can laugh about that.
Well, but this is a lifetime that you're meant to move away from anxiety, victimization, and that North Node in Gemini is about stable decisions, being fluid with decisions, and not getting as emotionally sucked in, especially by your sister. Your South Node conjuncts Mercury in your 12th house. You two have been around before. And it's like you're coming in this lifetime saying, can I bring some resolution and boundaries with this soul in this lifetime? That's another way to think of it.
Yeah,
Mercury conjuncts your south node in your 12th house
12th house.
of
Yes.
Sagittarius.
Yes, Sagittarius. Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So Sagittarius is often the narcissistic energy, the over the top. You know, you've got Jupiter down there in that 4th house. You know all about narcissistic energy. Your North Node in Gemini is day by day practical solutions. When you start to go off into those circular worry victim themes, that's when you know you need to come back into your body, do present moment breathing exercises. Okay?
okay. Thank you. That was perfect. Thank you so
I
much.
know it's
Yeah.
tricky. I know it's
Yes.
so tricky. Family can be really tricky. I have Miss Kamara here, Kamira Kamara. I always forget Kamira Kamara. Hi, are you here?
It's Kamara. Hi, how are
Thank you,
you?
Kamara. I'm good. How
Good
are
to
you?
see you, Jean. Really
Nice to-
good. Just getting back from a camping trip
Right.
and happy to be here.
Yay. All right. Let me start. So, in May, Jupiter headed into your 9th house, and he'll be transiting there until May 2024. So Jupiter's in its natural home, as you know, but this is practicality, ground. Taurus is the voice, finances, resources, grounded approaches to marketing, media, websites, publishing, all of that. Your progressed sun is trining Jupiter. That started back in August of 2022, and it takes you through August of 2024. Your progressed sun in Scorpio is in your 3rd house, trining Jupiter in your 7th house. So there is a lot of growth and development tied to others, your self-expression, your communication patterns, relationships, personal and professional. And we can say, well, that wasn't a happy growth experience. And then your higher self would say, well, that's just your judgment, right? it's like, but it was evolutionary for you, wasn't it? But actually, progressed sun trine Jupiter, you've got a lot of good luck. You've got luck, at your back. And in August of this year through November of 2024, Venus moves in to trine Jupiter from your 3rd house to your 7th house. So this can bode very well for relationships, for publishing, for money, for people helping you out, for growth tied to others. You've got great Jupiter transits going on here. June through March of 2024, you've got Jupiter sextile Jupiter from your 9th to 7th house. You've got Jupiter opposition your progressed sun from your 9th to your 3rd house. She's an astrologer. And then trining Venus from your 9th to your 1st house. All of this lines up from June on and off through March of next year. So this bodes very well, man, if you want to get a new website out, if you want to publish something, if you've got any legal situations to settle, they will go in your favor. If you want to travel, expand, do it. 3rd house is contracts, commercial activity, singing, self-expression, writing. It is a magnificent time in many ways for you. And you're also going through your Chiron return. Let's acknowledge that. And that's in that 8th house of the wound is not being supported. I never had enough support. So that's coming up for your awareness while all of these growth aspects are occurring with your own, mental habits and narratives tied to others. 7th house is also clients, the public. Now, Jupiter conjuncts that North Node now in that 9th house. The North Node is transiting through the 9th house, higher mind, magic, synchronicity, higher consciousness, expansive growth, knowledge, all of that. And the node will then be heading into that 8th house of Aries this summer, for the next 18 months. So there's going to be lots of transformation energy this summer. But these Jupiter trines are beautiful. And, you know, Sag is on in your fourth house with your north node there, conjunct Neptune. So that kind of is a little bit of a replication of the Jupiter ninth house. Neptune fourth conjunct that node is trust your intuition, trust your creativity. Neptune fourth house is all about, you know, music and frequency and sound and, you know, all of those consciousness raising beauty and energy. And the more you feed that native north node, fourth house, the more that feeds that tree of life. You know, so this is very
Yeah.
much tree of life. The root system has to be fed. And you've had lifetimes of being successful out there and focusing on out there. This is a lifetime of really nurturing those roots and those emotions. Mercury's retrograding mid-August and until about mid-September. He's going to be retrograding in your first house, conjunct your sun. Retrogrades at 22 degrees Virgo.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, stations direct at 8 degrees Virgo, conjunct Venus. And, you know, Mercury's going to be trining Jupiter up there in that ninth house. So if there's things that go a little here and there during the Mercury retrograde in August, the second half, the final trine to Jupiter on the 25th is real, from 14 degrees Virgo to Taurus, is really going to be helpful. Venus retrogrades in your 12th house, 28 degrees Leo. She stations direct in your 12th house at 12 degrees of Leo, and she's going to be squaring Jupiter. Okay, so 12th house is past life, subconscious, bumping up against growth and consciousness, ninth house, right? So you
Yeah.
want to be just aware of these influences. And I find it fascinating that they're both connecting with Jupiter for our talk today, right? Now, Jupiter is sextiling Saturn, which is transiting through your seventh house, ninth to seventh house. This perfects on the 19th of this month. And then again, February 6th, Jupiter sextile Saturn, 7 degrees Taurus to Pisces. This is a fine time to nail a business something or other down with that Saturn transiting through that seventh house. Saturn through the seventh is about lessons too. Learning through relationships, evolution, what has become rigid and stale in, you know, your relating dynamics, right? And then, you know, these trines to Jupiter keep happening. Here's the way, here's the path while you're dealing with the Saturn energy. But also boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Jupiter in the seventh can, you know, be worshiping others, always seeing others as more important or bigger than you are. And Saturn can also help ground some of that native kind of programming that you came in with as well. Come on in, questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Jean. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, I think yeah, I've been feeling, you know, that full moon last night was right on top of my north node.
Yeah.
And so and I've been having, you know, I have been having a lot of these kind of new moons and full moons kind of conjunct something, you know,
Right.
or close enough. So I've been, you know, things have definitely been popping.
Yeah.
And it's great, you know, like I've got a lot of ninth house things that are just so much luck has been coming through my ninth house. I got a fellowship at Princeton for the next 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, yeah, I'm doing my art. All of my art dreams are coming true. I'm going on a big trip to Greece
Perfect.
in August, which is
Perfect.
super ninth house and super Venus retro in, you know, go see some past life material over there.
Mhm.
And I think the main thing I'm really wondering about, you know, as I come up to that Chiron return, I've been engaging a lot of that, you know, the support wound, you know, and because Saturn's going through that seventh house, you know, I feel like I'm ready for romance, you know. And so I'm wondering, you know, I know that the advice is always to just become the person that you want to reflect and yeah,
Well, I
but
think
I would
that
love to
progressed
hear some.
Venus trine Jupiter that's going to start in August. But I mean, you got Venus retrograde right through
Yeah.
You know, you never want to start a new relationship. Traveling with your buddy is great for Venus retrograde.
I'm traveling alone.
Okay, good.
Uh,
Better yet. So she doesn't station direct until September 3rd, and that is at 12 degrees of, yeah, because she's retrograding in your 12th house, so that's perfect to travel alone. 12th house. She stations direct 12 degrees in your 11th house, and then she's going to be heading back into the 12th. But with this progressed Venus trine Jupiter heating up August through November of 2024,
Mm,
from your
that's
third to your 7th house, you know, that can be very positive experiences. Now you've got Saturn there though. I mean, Saturn's great for commitment, but Saturn can be a little bit of a tough taskmaster as well in the 7th
Mhm.
house, where sometimes the withholding of relationship is just what you need to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we pull it up to the bigger picture, you know, not everybody is here for all of the relationship growth in this lifetime. They're here for other things. Yes, we can have a relationship. Yes, there can be growth through them. But that goes to the Chiron wound right there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Chiron rules your Virgo ascendant. I assign Chiron to Virgo. So it's bringing that right in. It's kind of replicating the Saturn 7th house transit that Chiron return. And, you know, so you just be with it. You hold space with it. And, you know, then you do that inner child thing of what do you need from me? How can I reparent you?
Yeah.
And Jupiter in the 7th, you want someone else to make you whole. It's just a
That's a
warning.
Jupiter in the 7th. That's a thing. Uh-huh.
Often, because we project, you know, 7th house is where we project, and we have to project to be in relationship, because it's often the feeling of lack. And so you feel, you know, with Jupiter over there, there can be more growth, or you do more, or, you know, it's projecting a lot of that security, etc., onto other. Yet Chiron is coming home for a revisit and an integration of the childhood wound of I'm not supported enough, and I'm not
Yeah.
supported enough. And then the message is support yourself, support yourself,
Yeah.
support yourself. You're more than enough. You're plenty, right?
Yeah.
You're plenty. You're plenty.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that lesson right now, just in the yeah, in my career, and you know, being recently divorced, getting
Yep.
and being like it's time to support myself, and that feels really good. And yeah, thank you, because I'll engage that in my relationship
Yeah, and
world
Jupiter
as well.
Taurus is present moment, present moment, present moment. And Jupiter Taurus is all about finances and security themes. Right?
Mhm.
In the
One more
soul
question,
chart,
Jean.
in the soul chart, Jupiter's transiting Aries. So the soul growth of self-confidence is feeding into the earth chart of values, self-esteem, confidence, being the architect of your resources and your world. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, you know, my MC is at 29 Taurus. And so the minute that Jupiter enters Taurus, does that engage that, or is it something I would really look until Jupiter conjuncts that point?
I would look till Jupiter conjuncts that point. Jupiter transits, I look to the natal Jupiter, and you've got Sag down there on your 4th cusp. So I'd focus on those points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then,
Okay.
you know, Jupiter will heat up, and, you know, in May, conjunct that midheaven. Yeah. Stay present moment. Stay present.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thanks,
Everything lives in the present moment.
Yeah.
You will. Have a great trip.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I have Miss Isabel. Hi, Isabel.
Hi, Jean. How are you?
How are you? I'm good. I'm usually just recording to you, so it's always nice to talk to you. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome. All right, so we're going to jump in, okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you had Jupiter transit into your 7th house March 23rd, March of this year, and he's going to be there until August. Then he's going to zip up into your 8th house until October. Then he's going to retrograde back into your 7th house until March 2024. So Jupiter's zipping between those two, right? 7th house is the other in all fashion. 8th house is our psychology, our healing, our support mechanisms. So he's going to be zipping and zipping between those two through March of 2024. And then he heads into your 8th house for a long time. Saturn's transiting through your 5th house. You've already been through your Saturn return. Saturn through the 5th, you know, it can be, I have Saturn in my 5th. So with fun things, I take fun seriously, and I'm often the organizer of fun, right? It's great for child psychologists too. But Jupiter sextiling Saturn can be really good for decisions, creative decisions, decisions with children, decisions with partner. Jupiter's conjunct that north node right there in your 7th house. The node is conjunct your natal Mars right now too. So that's quite a conjunction there. Courage, confidence, a self-assertion. Jupiter's opposing Neptune from your 8th to your 2nd house, October till March of next year. So this can be foggy with resources and resource allocation. Just be aware of that. You want to, you know, really keep track of where things are, what you agree to, the terms, etc. Okay. And oh, you've got your Jupiter return. So that's just happening on the 7th. That's coming right around the corner. Your 12-year Jupiter return. So it's a whole new cycle. Sag is down there in your 3rd house of mind, communication, siblings, relatives, what you think, how you think, local community, travel, knowledge, learning. And so that we always pull that in. Also, your progressed ascendant is at 2 degrees Sagittarius, and that started about 2 years ago. So your evolution is tied to becoming more Sagittarian, okay? Isn't that fascinating? So what's interesting is you've got Saturn in transit sextiling Jupiter and Jupiter sextiling Saturn. That's going on right now, on and off through mid-February. So because of the Jupiter return, it's really pulling in your natal transits here. So through mid-February, there's going to continue to be a focus on partnership, business, relationships, clients, children, creativity, maybe taking a hobby or a creative thing of yours more seriously. That's very interesting. I find that very interesting. And Venus is already in your 10th house. She's been there a week or two. She's going to station retrograde in your 11th house at 28 degrees of Leo. She's going to be squaring Jupiter. That'll be from your 11th to your 8th house. And she squares Jupiter on June 11th, August 22nd when she's retrograde, September 17th when she's direct. So that's 5 degrees Leo, and then August 15 degrees Leo to Taurus, 15 degrees Leo to Taurus again. So be mindful of that with the Venus retrograding. You know, friendships can come back in, fun things, revisiting work, people in positions of authority over you. But with a square to Jupiter, it's just be mindful of your resources and how much value you place on others. You're another Jupiter 7th house, which can make people much bigger than you and more powerful than you, right? And that North Node is up there in that 9th house, which is very nice. You're here to ascend into higher consciousness with that node there conjunct Venus, and you include the divine feminine in that ascension. But just be aware with that Venus retrograde squaring Jupiter, And, you know, Venus retrograde is never time for new financial deals, new relationships. And then Mercury's retrograding mid-August in your 12th house at 22 degrees Virgo, stations direct in your 11th house at 8 degrees Virgo, and conjuncts Uranus. So that's interesting, mid-September. So what I'm saying, you can go back and listen to all of this. I don't want to be too technical. Is
Right.
an interesting summer, right? With Venus retrograde, then Mercury's going to retrograde on top of that, August and September. And, you know, this has to do with fun and future and career and decisions and relationships and finances. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. What else? Well, let me stop and come in with questions.
Well, so far, you know, I'm most definitely in a transition mode. You know, I've got some empty nest going on.
Okay. Saturn,
and
okay.
yeah.
Right.
It's been a kind of a rough couple of years emotionally. There's been a lot of closures, you know, healing, if you will, you know, a lot of self-healing of the past, especially birth family, etc. And what I'm facing now is part of this whole transition of, you know, moving on and doing different things and changing things up. It's interesting that you mentioned the 11th house, because that's where I'm kind of finding also some interesting revelations, if you will, on certain, you know, friend groups, etc., people that I've been around for a while.
You got Pluto conjunct Uranus in your 11th house. So
yeah, so
friends are a big
lot of
area of epiphanies and
yes,
transformation. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, there's a lot going on there as well. Yeah, I'm, you know, I'm looking to make some changes in even my day-to-day stuff. You know, I dance recreationally. So
Good.
there's been a lot of that going on, and I want to make some
Great.
changes in that realm, trying new things as well creatively. But the question I'm wondering about is, you had mentioned the my ascendant. You're saying that forgive me, I don't have the correct technical term, but you're
Right.
saying that it's more in Sagittarian.
Your
Sagittarius?
progressed ascendant, our progressed
Okay.
ascendant moves through typically about 2 signs during our lifetime. It takes about, ascendant moves a degree every, what is it, year and a half. So it takes, you know, about 45 years to move 30 degrees. So it's just within the past 2 years, your progressed ascendant, our evolving sense of our identity and our sense of self. Your natal ascendant's in Libra, right? And Libra ascendant is all about, hey, I'm learning all about what balance is, because I came into a very imbalanced situation as a kid. People who say Librans are balanced, baloney. Libra ascendants are learning about balance. They're the kids where horrendous things can be happening, but they plant the smile on their face when they're out. How are you doing? I'm fine. You know,
Right.
I'm great. But that's part of what your soul evolution is tied to. So if you're here to learn about balance, how do we learn through contrast? By learning all about imbalance. It's just the way we do things here. So, so the Libran is, you know, everything's great, going along to get along. Then you've had it moving through Scorpio, you know, the past 40 years. And just in the past 2 years, progressed ascendant in Sagittarius is saying, I want to experience more. I want more opportunity. I want more growth. I want more learning. I want, you know, I want more adventure.
Right.
And that's going to be with you for the remainder of your life.
Wow.
Which is
Interesting.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Progressed ascendant in Jupiter and Sagittarius can be, you know, hanging your hat. Home is where you hang your hat and then you're off again. Metaphorically, figuratively speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting, because that's kind of, the last couple of years, that's, the direction it's time to change things up. Got into a little bit of a rut. So yeah, try to bring in something new and, yeah.
And you'll
Both.
continue to, I mean, so much of what I do is validate what people are already experience, feeling, sensing. And I just say, I see you, and we bring some construct around that, right? So please know that, you do want expansion in whatever way, and growth in whatever way that means for you. And you were born on a new moon, exactly at the new moon.
I know.
Sun conjunct moon in your 8th house. So this is a life where there should be lots of new chapters, lots of endings, lots of new chapters, endings, beginnings, endings, beginnings, endings, beginnings, endings, beginnings, which can be hard because of societal programming of what life should be. But really, as a soul, it's a lot of new chapters, which of course requires the ending of chapters. And Mercury's been retrograding in that 8th house. And, he's going to be in that 8th house till the end of June. Then he hits your 9th house. Then you're free of the 8th house Mercury retrograde that's been going on for years. My perspective. Mercury, Taurus, ever going on. But that hits your 9th house where your North Node is. So you're going to, feel pretty good moving out of that 8th house. The 8th house is like scuba diving.
Right.
And we tend to be really hard on ourselves and going back over our faults and, this and that,
Right.
not feeling supported. And do I have enough money? And what about security? And, over and over and over. And you can be popped out of that kind of dynamic and that cycle as you head to the end of this month, which is going to feel really good.
Good.
Address that. Well, you're going to have perspective.
Yes. It's been very difficult. Yeah.
I know.
It has, emotionally, it's been very difficult. Yeah.
Really rough.
Mhm.
Because the 8th house, we don't really have perspective. We're going down into the primordial soup, right?
Right.
And it's emotional and it's deep. Then the planets head into that 9th house. It's like, oh wow, I can see the horizon now. I'm surfacing from the water. I can breathe. So
Yep.
whenever we have 8th house transits going on, it's like, okay, we're gonna slow things down a little bit, and know that it's quite a shamanic time, actually. If we have shamanic practices, it would help us move through these things, probably much more easier, but I'm getting into that. Join me on the summer solstice, everyone. I'm doing some vocal toning, first time in public, but we need our ceremony. We've lost that through the suppression of our true history. I won't get off on that. Okay, anyway, let me stay with you. You feel complete?
Yeah, this has it's again validated a lot of what I've been experiencing, and the direction I want to head into seems to be, it looks like things will be helping me along that way as well.
Your mind will catch up and
Yeah.
the perspective will broaden, I promise you, as you get towards the end of this month.
Great, excellent.
Not much longer.
Yay.
But do ceremonies and stuff, and
Yes.
burn papers, write things down and burn
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Take
I
out
have.
stuff.
I've been doing that. I do a lot of I've been meditating for a long time. So I do that. I do have a regular spiritual practice that I follow, and a lot of manifesting and visualization and all that good stuff. So yeah. So
Wonderful. Hang in there, Isabel.
I
Nice
will.
speaking with you.
Okay, nice. Same here. Thank you so much. All right, bye.
Blessings. Okay. Now I have Miss Laura. Hi, Laura. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've met before. Are you here? You can pull your microphone open if you like. I see you. All right. Hi,
There we go.
Laura.
Okay, hello. Very nice to be here. Hi, Jean.
Nice to meet you. You look like my cousin Kimber.
Really?
Yeah, you look like you could be a family member. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so in February, Jupiter moved into your 10th house where he'll be transiting through April of next year. So Jupiter through the 10th is often, Jupiter remembers, I want more growth, I want more knowledge, learning, expansion, education, travel, teaching. So this is bringing that energy, and it's conjunct that North Node, in that 10th house. So there may be the past few days a sense or a whisper of, maybe something you're interested in or some breadcrumbs to follow. Now, Jupiter is sextiling, transiting Saturn. Saturn's transiting your 9th house, which can be a little tough with higher consciousness because it has to have fact behind it. Or I see more Saturn 9th house people who have to get their advanced degree, right? They need the credentials behind them. Or, they may feel limited in some way. International travel may be cut off, but it's certainly a focus on belief systems, higher values. But Jupiter's sextiling Saturn, from this 10th house to 8th house, actually 10th to 8th house. So this can be very good mid-month. And Jupiter's going to sextile Saturn again in February of 2024. It's good for business decisions, financial decisions, that kind of thing. Now, Jupiter is conjunct your sun right on that 11th house cusp from July until October of this year, and sextiling Mars in your 12th house, July through October. This can be very nice for friendships, and what do I really want to do, and what would make me happy. What would make me happy can be very different than what would make me successful. What has society told me I should be to be successful? 10th house, 11th house, what would make me happy? What would I enjoy doing? What would I love to do? Happy choices are smart choices. And often when we're happy and we love what we're doing, our frequency raises and we become more abundant. That's the ticket. And sextiling Mars in that 12th house of mothering and family, and your family has an anger issue too. I imagine there's some depressed people in your family, but you can become more aware of asserting yourself and using that masculine principle, or creative, or you're intuitive in a way that really serves and feeds your future going forward. November through February, you've got Jupiter trine Saturn from your 10th to your 6th house. This can be very good for business and day-to-day work through there. And June through January, you also have Jupiter opposing Neptune from your 10th to 4th house. That can be a little confusing with family, living situations. Where am I? Where do I want to go? On the other hand, it can be a time where you're looking at different countries and you want to live near water, and lots of possibilities with that. It can be quite a spiritual time for you. You have Sagittarius on your 6th house cusp, where Saturn is. You're so good at getting things done, aren't you? You had a lot put on you as a kid too. A lot of responsibilities is the feeling. Now, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is in your 5th house of creativity and children and enjoying yourself and the joie de vivre things and dating and having fun. And what do you love to do? And then that feeds that 6th house and meets up with Saturn, which is like, you just need to work hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. You can't be an artist. You can't do this, right? So Jupiter can help up with some of that societal family programming. So, okay, let me just stop here and check in. Is this resonating?
Yes, it is. Right. I mean, I can ask a question or two at this point.
Of course, please.
Okay. Well, at some point, maybe I'll have time to come back to that family anger issue and be anxious to hear about that, where that's coming from. But no, I my main question is, I wrote a children's book a few years back.
Wow.
Published in 2018. It was a spiritual children's book, and I actually thought I would have a second out by now, but what I've been called to this year is to something else I've always wanted to do within that publishing is kids are coming to us differently nowadays, and they greatly need support. And I
They
would
do.
love to develop a way to support them through their parents and through the teachers in regard to their nutrition and their mindfulness and resilience and through nature and all of this. And so this is a project that I've actually
Beautiful.
just started earlier this year, and now have been blessed with my first grandchild.
Wonderful.
And I am needed there to support in so my things aren't going at the pace that I thought they would. I've had to put aside the project, but for a very good reason, to support my daughter, and that will be at least through July.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering if this is all it's sounding like it's something that will come to fruition eventually.
The biggest form of human misery in the thousands of people I've worked with, and it is thousands now, is things not happening in the time frame that we want them to in the way we think that they should.
Okay.
And then I say to people, let go of attachment to outcome.
Okay.
And that's hard for us to do because of that left brain, which is overdeveloped in the West, the mechanistic model of everything's thinking about it and planning and analyzing. Yeah, but things tend to happen when the timing's right, according to your own energy signature. We're all like fingerprints, and we're highly unique and individuated. So of course, nothing happens as quickly as anybody would like them to.
Yes. For sure.
But I do feel with this Jupiter conjunct Sun, and this lands in July, okay? And, also Mercury gets out of Taurus on the 11th of June, which is more of a plotting kind of, but I mean, you're okay with that. You're Sun Taurus. You like your habits. And then Mercury hits Gemini in that 11th house, which is much more mutable and quick. But that Jupiter conjunct Sun, sextile that Mars 12th house should be very helpful for you to act upon inspired action. Now, Venus is retrograde on the 22nd of July in your second house at 28 degrees, and she conjuncts Pluto within a degree and a half. And she's not going to come back and conjunct that again, move past her shadow until first week in October, maybe. Okay. But she's spending a lot of time in your second house, which can be very good for money and children and creativity. Leo, Venus is retrograding in Leo, the sign of children, creativity, and that's your second house. So no wonder you write children's books, and no wonder Pluto's there in 1 degree Virgo. So you're talking about health and nutrition and getting see how that works, isn't that?
Yes.
It's fun. And then Venus stations direct September 3rd in your first house, conjunct Uranus, exactly. So that should be interesting. There can be things popping there or out of the blue, or you just feel being electrified to move forward with something here. Venus rules that fourth house, family, children, and that's where your North Node is, in your fourth house. You've come here to learn, again, like Chimera, that tree of life, to nurture the roots. You're very focused on being successful and getting ahead and making things happen, right? But the North Node is, how's your emotional life? Are you being authentic with yourself? How are your emotions? Do you let other people share their emotions authentically, right? And in Libra, it's about learning balance with family and the inner life. That's where your soul growth is. Fourth house is also soul growth. And Libra is beauty, aesthetics, seeing beauty, admiring beauty. Your South Node is in that 10th house. You've had lifetimes of being out there and being successful. Not that you can't this lifetime, but you grow, and your tree is nourished through the feeding of those roots.
Okay.
Family, balance. So Mercury retrogrades in that second house, no new financial deals through the Venus retrograde. No cosmetic surgery, no new haircuts, no big wardrobe changes. Don't do it. And then she stations direct on the 3rd. Ping, right on Uranus. So I don't know if you shot out of a cannon, but Mercury retrogrades mid-August, and that's in your 3rd house, 22 Virgo. And he stations direct mid-September, 8 degrees Virgo in your 2nd house. So that can slow things down too. I mean, it's good for visiting people, revisiting siblings, relatives, that kind of thing. The summer's going to slow down because it's an integrative time for us. You've got to stop thinking of time as linear and start thinking of time as a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And things come back around to be met from a different consciousness.
Okay.
The human body, carbon, DNA, we're on this planet, linear time, 3rd dimension. But our consciousness is working with a spiral of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes?
Yeah. Can you just hit quickly on where that family
Very
anger-
quickly, yeah.
Yes. Is it coming from my immediate family, son, daughter, husband, or is
What
this
was the
my
question? What was the question?
the family anger issue that you mentioned?
This is ancestral. That's
Ah.
ancestral.
Okay, that's very helpful to
That's a
me.
whole other discussion. Yeah.
Yes,
that's
yes.
ancestral stuff.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Jean.
It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Yes.
Be
very
well.
nice. Be well too.
I have Miss Sharon here now. Hi, Sharon. You come up. Hi. Nice to speak with you again.
Glad to be here.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I think.
Can you turn your volume up just a tad? Or move closer?
How's that?
Much better. Thank you. Let me jump in. Okay. So in April, Jupiter moved into your 9th house, where he's going to be transiting until May 2024. And your sun is up there in that 9th house. Jupiter's already conjunct your sun. It's in Taurus now, but it's a fine time, for expanding your mind, reading things, traveling, all of that. Now, Jupiter is squaring Uranus until August. From your 9th to your 12th house, there may be surprises or unexpected developments or epiphanies or secrets that come to the surface. Or you may just feel edgy too, kind of edgy. If you're feeling anxious, remember the Jupiter story is to ground in Taurus, to be in our body, walking, bathing, sitting on the ground, grounding ourselves. And so that's with you till August. And then it pops up again in March of next year. But at the same time, Jupiter is trining Saturn from your 9th to your 5th house. Another Saturn 5th house. So this can be very nice for children, younger people, creative projects that you're taking seriously, marketing, media, all of things. It's a very stable time. It's a good time for making decisions tied to children, creativity, travel, marketing, websites, that kind of thing. So this accompanies, again, this is from till August, and then it comes back in March of next year. Jupiter sextiling Saturn is transiting through your 7th house. For relationships, there's a lot of growth, maybe some limitation through some relationships, but it can be a good time for making decisions or working with experts in their field, real estate agents, doctors, dentists, I don't know. And also you've got Jupiter trine Jupiter, June and January. So this month and then again in January, and Jupiter's trining Pluto from your 9th to your 1st house. So there's a lot of potential here for evolution and growth and personal empowerment, personal transformation. Sag is on your 5th house cusp, and Jupiter is in that 5th house cusp as well. You've got Jupiter and Saturn in your 5th house. That's interesting. Lots of responsibilities, lots of growth with children. You know, so the growth is tied to your creative pursuit, your inner child, your children are your teacher even. And yeah, you are going through a tricky time, I will say. Your progressed ascendant is, you progress midheaven's opposing Saturn, and your progressed ascendant is coming into square Saturn. So if you're feeling a little heavy, I want to just acknowledge that that's with you for the next 1.5 to 2 years. That can withhold, it can compress us a little bit. It can feel like we're being held in place, but there's something about being held in place or being contained in some way. Venus is just, she's transiting through your 12th house now. And then on the 22nd, she comes right into your first house and promptly retrogrades, conjunct your ascendant, 28 degrees Leo, and then she heads back into that 12th house, and she's retrograding there. So this can be a time of, you know, reviewing things, reviewing the past, relationships, sibling situations, you know, how you take care of yourself. Venus 12th house, it's a nice time to let yourself relax and build in more time in your schedule. Then she'll station direct in that 12th house. And she won't leave that 12th house until the beginning of October, okay? So it's quite a 12th house transit behind the scenes, and the ending of a cycle. And then, you know, the beginning of a new Venusian cycle in October, which is all about self-esteem, self-respect, how you present yourself, your hair, your wardrobe. You don't want to do anything new in that area with Venus 12th house retrograding, okay? No new financial deals. Mercury's retrograding in your second house mid-August, and then stations direct in your first house it's the third week in August to middle September. So there's quite a focus on you personally, the past, rest, releasing, the contemplative process, meditation, that kind of thing. And Mercury's trining Jupiter up there in that 9th house of higher self. Venus in the 12th is squaring Jupiter in that 9th house. So you want to be mindful of not overcommitting. And, you know, Jupiter in that kind of square where we can feel like we know best or we know what's what. And the thing about belief systems is they're very fluid. You know, there's lots of different truths, actually. It's very interesting when people talk about truth, right? And a lot of people have opinions about a lot. And so it's just a kind of gently, you know, take it easy with maybe some of that. There can be some exaggeration with or from others that may not actually, you know, meet up or be quite accurate, or there's an overinflation or something of that nature too. But Mercury in Virgo trining Jupiter can, you know, help you suss things out a bit. So let me stop and invite you in and see if you have questions here.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Definitely resonates with me. A lot going back over probably the last 6 months or a year, and just old things coming up, like, you know, and healing and getting past it and putting it aside. And I feel that myself emerging from that I have carried for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But also I have so many questions about where am I going at my age. I'm handling should I retire, or what does that look like? And
I'm sorry, I'm handling what?
Am I financially secure enough? What does it look like? Or do I just stay put and continue to work until I don't? So I'm battling a lot of inner things with all the security issues and fear.
Well, and I think that Venus is going to be expanding that. I feel you're going to get a clear sense of a lot of that as you move into October of this year. You know, I don't tell people what to do. And, you know, I am just looking at Jupiter in this case, right? You know, but, you know, Chiron is transiting through that 8th house. And I think it's conjunct Mercury. So you are wondering about security and all of that. I mean, I think you'll be fine, right? And, you know, that's that Saturn energy too. You're apt to be quite negative than is actually the reality of your life situation right now. Okay. And
Yes, I can.
that progressed midheaven opposition Saturn can feel like, oh, you know, things aren't where they should be. And I love hearing everybody say at my age, who cares what your age is? Who cares? Agey smagey. We don't live as long as we should. And that's because of all the toxins in our environment and in our food. We should be living to 100 plus. But, you know, moment to moment, present moment. You think of the future, you get into the anxiety brain, you know. And don't worry, we're all going to die, all of us, and be reborn again. The thing I can only see worrying about is suffering a chronic or a harsh death or a long drawn out death. I understand that. But in the big picture of things, so what? So what? You know, your higher self, there are higher things at play here, but that's what I'm saying. You need to be cautious of heavy negative thinking through here. And you're just more prone for that with the Saturn squaring ascendant and opposing your midheaven. And it's all about security and, you know, feeling old, older than you really are, Saturn. So just be aware that this is, you know, this is temporary, but it is with you for the next 2 or 3 years. The Jupiter transit to the 9th house, feed your mind, expand, grow, learn things, whether that's through books or travel or whatever. Okay. And focus on present moment. That's all we have. Tomorrow is not assured. It isn't. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Right? We're taught and programmed to worry and to be negative and to be fearful. Our handlers, you know, fear, 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 fear. Turn the television off. Turn the financial channels off. Stay in your body. Live your life. Yeah?
Got it.
I sound preachy, don't I? But I don't care. I don't care. I hate what has happened to people with their minds and all the worry, and it's going to be okay, you know. And then we die, and it's like, what a relief to be out of the body, and then you go into consciousness, and then decide where you go from there. Right? This is one little drop in your soul history and Akashic record. You'll be okay. You just got to watch your mind. Okay.
Thank you, Jean.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for coming in. I have Miss Sarah. Sarah, are you here? Hello, Sarah. I don't think she's here, so I will go ahead. Oh, you are here? Sarah? Well, I don't hear you. Okay. All right. So Sarah, I know that you don't have time of birth. What I'm using for you is the sun sign method. which means I put your sun in your first house and I make an equal house system, and that works actually. The sun is the strongest star or planet in our solar system. All the planets rotate around the sun, life-giving. And Sarah, you know, you have, hello? And Sarah, you have a packed first house. You have Sun conjunct Jupiter in Libra. So that's where your natal Jupiter is. And in Libra, there's a lot of growth for you at the personal level through relationship, through finding balance. Jupiter moved into your 8th house in April of 2024 and will be there until Jupiter's in your 8th house and will be there until April of 2024. Jupiter 8th house is a time of psychological healing. If there's been something troubling you, if there's been something worrying you, I find Jupiter is very helpful for psychological healing, for receiving more support, however that arrives. And for you, you haven't always felt that you've received the support you've needed. You've had to stand on your own quite a bit. Jupiter should help bring a lot of nurturing quality here. Jupiter 8th house can be good for building your nest egg, for experiencing some financial growth. If you need a medical procedure, Jupiter through the 8th can be very good timing for that as well. Now, Jupiter is trining your Venus from your 8th house to your 12th house now through October, and then again March of next year. So this is, again, speaking again to support. This can be relationship, this can be kindness, this can be financial development, this can be the enhancement of your internal life, your psychic life, your intuitive life, your meditational life. That may grow. You may find that you learn to trust that more with Jupiter trine Venus in those internal houses of the 8th and the 12th house. So it's very interesting. Additionally, your progressed sun, the progressed sun moves a degree every year. So your natal sun is up there in Libra. Your progressed sun is at 4 degrees in Sagittarius, and that's in your 3rd house. You're learning to be more Sagittarian these past 4 years. And that 3rd house can see a lot of reading. It can see a lot more travel, seeking of knowledge, growth in your community, in your neighborhood, with your siblings, with your relatives, teaching, self-expression, writing can be very much a theme with Sun, Sag, 3rd house as well. So this will continue for you into the next 26 years. The sun will be transiting through Sagittarius. And Saturn is transiting through your 6th house, bringing more perhaps responsibility, hard work. Maybe you need to take your health more seriously. Pet care can be a focus. Aging pets. There may be more responsibility at work. Some people may move into unemployment with Saturn in the 6th house. But certainly with Saturn in the 6th house, there's you need to take good care of your health. And I find Saturn 6th house, people tend to feel more arthritic. There can be more teeth problems. Saturn rules teeth, skin. You may want to up your fish oil supplements. There may be dental work. But Jupiter is sextiling Saturn mid-month and then again in February of next year. This can be a very good time for making decisions around medical procedures, financial decisions, work decisions, around products, services. Maybe you're looking at a business deal or a silent partner. This can also speak to your partner's resources that look very stable here as well. And the node is transiting through this 8th house. So this is bringing a lot of change and transformation energy psychologically to you as well. And, you know, then in May of next year, Jupiter's going to head up into that 9th house and really expand your horizons. But this is a time of healing psychologically, physically, and more support, which should feel really good to you because you have the signature of I never have enough support or I don't have enough support. So Jupiter's going to bring some balance and more correction to this. and this experience as well. Now, do I have you online? I know I heard someone saying something. Let me see who the participants are here. Do I have you here? No. Okay. So she isn't here for questions. So I'm sorry you missed this. Venus is going to be retrograding, Sarah, on July 22nd. And Venus will be retrograding in your 12th house at 28° Leo. So she's in your 11th house now. She's going to be spending quite a long time in your 11th house, friends and future, and what would make me happy, and the tribe, and creativity and artistry. She's going to station direct in your 11th house of Leo, friendships, on September 3rd at 12 degrees. So you can find Venus is going to be helping out where you're headed, your future, your friendships, your group dynamics. She will be squaring Jupiter starting in July and through the end of September. So you want to be mindful of your resources financially and psychologically. It's easy to overdo with with Venus squaring Jupiter. Yet Mercury is going to be transiting through Virgo, and he's going to station retrograde right on your ascendant mid-August, the third week of August until mid-September. And he's going to head back into that 12th house. So don't be afraid to take some time out. You may need more sleep. You may need more rest. You may want to work in private. You may be revisiting experiences and thoughts. Mercury retrograde, we go back to the past in linear time to review things. And Mercury won't come back to conjunct that ascendant again until about the second week of October. Then you start a whole new cycle there. But Mercury is going to be trining Jupiter from that 12th to that 8th house, which could bring some really interesting developments again with your intuitive, with having cognitive dreams, insightful dreams, paying attention to your dreams when you wake up. Channeling is going on, speaking with the higher self. It's all those internal energies, but it can also be very good for resource management, feeling much more supported. That can be extremely healing for you on a personal level going forward. So quite a focus with your friendship house, and then your 12th house of the past, intuition, psychic energy, dreams, working with the subconscious mind, okay? Sorry I missed you today. I hope you're well. Take care. Okay. And then I have Mila. Is Mila here? Mila's not here either. We have a few people who, okay, so Mila, Jupiter moved into your 9th house in May of this year and will transit through that 9th house until July of 2024. A lot of 9th house transits here with this group. So this is all about the higher consciousness and wanting a sense of growth and exploration, travel, foreign trips, higher education, marketing, websites, publishing, media. This is really going to help you in an expansive way. And Jupiter is trining your ascendant through March of next year. So this is a beautiful time for you. It's a beautiful time to travel foreign countries, to teach a class, to sign up for a retreat, spiritual, learning, higher education. Your natal Jupiter is in your 1st house, conjunct Uranus, conjunct Pluto. So you have Virgo rising, and Virgo rising is learning that everything doesn't have to be so perfect, right? Perfection is a fleeting construct, and that perfectionism often comes from the family dynamics of the family. There's something about the family that you started analyzing and criticizing self due to the dynamics. And so it's learning to move away from that and to be more grounding and more present moment. And Virgo rising is also to be of service too. Virgo is very service oriented. It's very tied to animals, the care of animals, holistic healing, homeopathy, plants, plant medicine, that kind of thing. And so it's very transformative lifetime you have with this stellium in your first house. But Jupiter's in Libra, conjunct Uranus. So, I imagine traditional relationship roles aren't for you. It's interesting because you have your North Node in that 7th house. So this is a lifetime of learning and growing through your relationship with others. The South Node's in the 1st house. So there's something about not isolating yourself or withdrawing because you don't want to deal with other people. That North Node conjuncts Chiron in the 7th. So there's a wound here around relationship. So this is kind of the soul theme that you came in to learn and evolve through. And Jupiter Uranus can be split action. It can be very impatient. It can be genius and inventive and psychic. And, it's great with astrology and transformation work with Pluto there. Sagittarius is on your 4th house cusp. So you're the quintessential student. I imagine you're always studying and learning and interested. Maybe you've lived in different countries. Maybe you're very comfortable having different places that you live. You hang your hat and you move here and you move there. Now, Saturn is also transiting through your 7th house. So there can be some lessons here with others. There can be the withholding of relationship to learn through that. There can be more responsibility relationship. And yes, there can even be commitment through relationship. Jupiter is sextiling Saturn on the 19th of June. From your 9th to your 7th house, it can be very good for business deals with agents or realtors or traveling with your sweetie or traveling for business. And you'll have this again in February of next year. Jupiter's going to retrograde on September 4th at 15 degrees of Taurus, and then we'll station direct at the end of December. So we'll be reviewing things when Jupiter retrogrades here. And and Venus is going to be, she's already in your 11th house of friends. She's going to dip into that 12th house for a while. And then she's going to retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo in that 12th house, behind the scenes, the past, spirituality, creativity, the contemplative path, things behind the scenes, relationships behind the scenes, finances behind the scenes. And she will be squaring Jupiter in that 9th house, just like Sharon before her. So you want to be aware of what belief systems are, what's truth. Lots of people have opinions about a lot of things, and then new information is presented, and then the belief has to change, tied to new information, but the belief doesn't always change. But just be aware of that, because there can be exaggeration with Jupiter square Venus. Yet Mercury is transiting through that 12th house and will retrograde the 3rd week of August in your 1st house at 22 degrees of Virgo, almost conjunct Pluto. So there's something that is in waiting here of transformation. It can be financial deals, it can be children, it can be insights that transform you, but you're not there yet because Venus retrogrades until mid-September and then stations direct in that 12th house and won't come back into your 1st house until about the 1st of October. And, then you'll be starting anew. Now you're ready in October to share your plans, to share your opinions. So don't be afraid of taking some time out. You're going through a review period with this Mercury retrograde. Mercury's going to be trining Jupiter in that 9th house. So that lower mind is working with the higher mind, you see? So there can be insights, there can be synergy, there can be transformation energy, which leads to magic. Actually, you take different frequencies, you merge them, it creates a new frequency. So it's quite a trend. And then Mercury comes into conjunct Pluto, I don't know, later in September. So something has been changed. Something has been changed. And Mercury rules your 10th house of Gemini. So this may be tied to career direction, life direction decisions that this is a period of ruminating about that and not, pushing yourself too much. Although there will be developments with Mercury, transiting up there. Mercury will head into Gemini, your 10th house, about the 3rd or 4th week of this month. So things will start moving with the 10th house area. But this looks very good for you. It looks like a good time for you. And I'm sorry I missed speaking with you, Mila. Be well and take care. And then I have Miss Beth, and I knew that Beth wasn't going to. She signed up, and then she had her nephew's graduation to go to. So she let me know. I'm going to record this for her, but I'm going to take a drink of water first. Okay. Hello, Miss Beth. I hope you had a good weekend at the graduation. And in May, Jupiter moved into your 7th house, where he'll be transiting until June of 2024. So this is going to bring a lot of growth through your relationships with others. Growth. I didn't say it's all perfect. There is growth, there is learning, there is expansion in all one-on-one. This can be clients, this can be professional people, friendships, everybody else. There's going to be growth. This is where the North Node is transiting too, and they're conjunct today. So your growth is tied to listening to other people, really actively listening and hearing them and taking that into account before you respond or become emotional. And that takes some new ways of thinking about things. So this is the growth for you. Then the node is going to move into your 6th house this summer and bring more grounding with your day-to-day life. Jupiter is conjunct Mars in your 7th house in July through October. And Jupiter's also squaring Uranus in your 10th house. So that's interesting. Jupiter square Uranus can be things out of the blue, shifts, changes. In the 10th house up there, this can be family, things shifting, changes with family, you becoming impatient, but that's where the growth is dealing with people, listening to them, responding, not reacting. So this is interesting because there's a lot of challenge here to react. But it can be an exciting time for career direction, life direction, travel, developments that happen quickly that are really exciting. And you've got to kind of ground yourself and, get used to the shifts and changes that are occurring. And Jupiter conjunct Mars is great for confidence. This can be good for relationships. Men can be helpful in some way. Confidence has kind of been iffy for you on and off and on and off. So there's a lot of growth here with this Jupiter conjunct Mars. It's kind of saying, take a chance, act on faith, go for it, expand and grow. And that people will be helping you out in some way with this conjunction to Mars, aiding in your growth and development. Also, now through mid-January, Jupiter's conjunct your moon on and off now through mid-January. So this is a lot of emotional growth, well-being, deep sense of well-being here. Things going better at home, with mom, with family, with housing. There may be some travel here because the moon rules that 9th house. And we know you love to travel, can be exciting trips, unexpected developments on trips. So this all looks really good. That square to Uranus is interesting. Jupiter is sextiling Saturn, which is still in your 4th house now. So Jupiter sextile Saturn exact on the 19th. This can be a good time for partnerships with others, whoever they are, and home and housing plans and stability plans, contractors, experts you consult with. If you need to do that, you'll find a good, ethical, reliable person with this sextile mid-month. This happens again in February of next year. And Sagittarius, I'm working with your tropical chart, rules your 2nd house of money and earnings and growth and knowledge. Jupiter's in your 1st house, which opposes Mars. You know, so, you know, you can be, you know, this is a lifetime of growth for you and benevolence. We know you're very generous. We know you're very kind, and you take other people into account. So Jupiter in the 7th house, that's interesting, and bringing more, maybe more kindness coming to you from others, more consideration, more support, more encouragement, more help, which should feel good to you as well. And Venus is just still transiting through your 9th house until about the 3rd or last week of this month. Then she heads into your 10th house for quite a time. She's going to station in your 10th house. So what's the 10th house? It's your public life, it's your reputation. Venus's relationships, being noticed for your creativity, your artistry, your diplomacy. People of influence may notice you, especially women. There can be important women here. But Venus retrogrades in your 10th house on the 22nd at 28 degrees of Leo. And she won't station direct until September 3rd in your 9th house. No, she's still in your 10th house, actually, pardon me. But she'll be conjunct your midheaven. So there's something. Venus is helping your public life, your life direction, being more visible in the world because she's spending so much time in that 10th house. And there may be something that occurs this first week in September when she stations direct that clarifies some things with career direction, with relationship, with creativity projects. But she's going to be squaring Jupiter from that 10th to the 7th. So it's a bit of a balancing act with others and life direction, with, you know, not going overboard with other people, whatever that means, with their situation, with their needs, with their kindness, and keeping that kind of balanced. Mercury is, you know, heading into your 8th house now. Mercury's been in your 7th house since early April. So you're heading into a deep dive here, transformation time. But Mercury's retrograding the 3rd week in August in your 11th house of friendship at 22 degrees of Virgo. And will station direct mid-September at 8 degrees of Virgo in your 10th house. So you can see there's quite a bit of focus on your 10th house, life direction, career, visibility out there, and then 11th house, friends, what makes you happy, your authentic path. And they're all hooking up with Jupiter in that 7th house of others and growth through others. So this should be a very interesting time for those developments. You also have had your progressed ascendant in Sagittarius. It's at 23 degrees, so it's been there for the past 36 years. So you're meant to be learning all about being a Sagittarian and expansive and helpful and hopeful and positive and exaggerative and creative and all of that as well. It looks like a very good time here, and that Jupiter conjunct Moon is positively yummy. It's going to take you through mid-January. It's emotional comfort and emotional well-being and just feeling safe and secure and well. Okay. Be well, madam. We'll talk with you soon. Okay. Thanks for sticking in there, everybody. That's a lot of talking, isn't it? It was a pleasure to have everyone here. I will probably get the replay link out by Wednesday at the latest. rest, okay? And I wish you all much love and be well. Take good care. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Bye, Laura. Bye, Isabel. Bye-bye.